Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.
Through rain, sleet, and snow, the Eagles train to go. Through rain, sleet, and snow, the Eagles train to go.
Yeah. I wanna build a life worth living. I wanna be rich cause I wanna be given. I feel the time keeps ticking. I wish I had more, but I'll take what's given. I just wanna pop cause I've been working a lot. I think I deserve a shot, I think I deserve a spot. Cause it's been years on this path that I walked. And if I keep going, I pray I'll be at the top.
Welcome to another episode of Bird Gang Nation Sports Talk. I'm your host, Bird Gang 31. Today, Nation, we got a very special guest in the building. We got Josh Davis from the Philly Special Show. How you doing today, my guy?
I'm doing awesome. I appreciate you having me here, too. I'm excited. And hey, shout out to your daughter. It was her birthday, right? Happy birthday.
Yes, exactly. That's what I do. I do want to give a big shout out to my daughter, Leasia Peterson. She is 13 today, my oldest, man. Salute to you, baby. Hope you're watching. Much love to you. Also to the nation, we are back out of YouTube jail. You know, we are back monetized. Channel's back monetized. Channel membership should be reactivated. I'm going to be changing that up here shortly and dropping a lot of new merch because I did just hook up with Print Champs over there. So be on the lookout for some new stuff with the channel. You know, it was a little rough not being monetized, but now we're monetized again. We're going to get it going. So, you know, hey, Josh, man, watching your content, man. I know you're new in the game. You know, first off, tell everybody, you know, where they can find you at and, you know, what got you started with YouTube. Yeah,
for sure. Again, I appreciate you having me on here. You know, I'm on Twitter at jdavis_2nd, but the YouTube link, obviously I got it there, is the Philly Special Show. So if you search that, it'll come up. It's crazy because I think it's been, 7 weeks, something like that. So not very long at all. And I really had no clue. We were talking right before the show here. Just, you know, I'm new to this and learning as we go. It's been a blast. I've been a lifelong Eagles fan, but my friend Thomas Mott, so he's the Thomas Mott Show. He had been doing it for a while, and he's like, "Hey, you should think about doing an Eagles channel." So I was like, "All right, well, let's give it a shot." And so have been learning this entire process, but having a blast with it, man. I mean, just being able to talk Eagles all day, every day. That's very easy to do, but actually having a channel and going through. So I appreciate the support. Big fan. So being able to actually come on here is awesome.
Yeah, definitely a subscriber, man. You are blowing it away, man. You get up there fast, man. I thought I did good when I first started, but you're definitely doing your thing over there, man. Salute to you and what you're doing, man. And Mott's a great dude, man. I'd be watching you guys show your Wednesday night show. That's something good to watch. So, man, let's get into it, man. How you like the Eagles so far? The moves the Eagles made this offseason. You know what I'm saying? There weren't no real big splash moves, but I think there's been a lot of consistent moves that really help the team moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, you reverse this, and I've talked about it a decent amount on some shows. It's like when the offseason started, like I didn't know what to expect. And I don't think a lot of us knew what to expect because, you know, their question mark was like, how much money are we going to have? We're going to lose some players. Who are we going to lose? Which guys are we going to re-sign? But like, if I told you that we're going to have, what is it? At least the last time I checked, like the seventh most or the seventh highest cap. Yeah. And yet the players that we retained, I mean, that to me, it's like an A grade. I think I would give us an A for the free agency signing and just the offseason leading up to the draft, because you're filling a lot of spots of need. And then I know we're going to get into it in a second of obviously like who do you draft, but it helps to fit with the draft picks, right? Because we know, and we've seen in past seasons, or we could probably name other teams that have done so, you never want to go into the draft having big holes to fill, because all of a sudden it gets to your pick and you draft based on need rather than the best player available. So I love it. I mean, I'm all for all these signings. I think there's a lot of not big names like you mentioned, but just home run picks or even retaining talent. And so adding to that depth, like, I mean, I know Kentavious Street, I'm excited to see him, just a rotational player, but I think that's some depth that you really need on your defensive line. And also Terrell Edmonds, I think that's a big signing there. You know, see what he actually can do in this defense. But I'm telling you that the consistency, what Howie has done, obviously the report, the NFL rankings came out, I think today or yesterday, he's the #1 GM in football. That's not very surprising, but he just solidified it more with this type of offseason. So I'm a huge fan of it.
How do you feel about the defense though? Because I hear a lot of rumors, you know, not really rumors, but, you know, fans clamoring about, oh, you know, if we don't go out and go get a defensive player, one of these top, you know, the top pick, then, you know, teams are going to score all these points on us. And for me, I feel like we got all the pieces we really need to gain back. You knew we weren't getting back Hargrave. We drafted Jordan Davis. You know, I feel like for those who think we need to really worry about drafting the DT early, it's like, why did we pick a first-round pick, use a first-round pick on Jordan Davis last year? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was his red shirt year. When he was playing before he got hurt, he played at a really high level in terms of run defense. And then, you know, he got hurt. We brought in, you know, Limbaugh and Sue. So then we didn't need to use them as much anymore. And we kind of redshirted them. So I think this year is his year to take that role, take that over that spot. We knew it was either going to be Hargrave or it was going to be, you know, Fletcher Cox leaving, and he was going to have to come in and fill that role. And I think, you know, it obviously was Hargrave. He got a fat contract. Salute to him over there in San Francisco.
Got a lot of money.
Jordan Davis to do his thing, man. I'm not really big on, you know, looking for a big DT, you know, moving forward. But how do you feel about the whole defense as a whole? Like, we retained both Slay and Bradbury. We lost out on CJG, but we also gained Tremont Edmonds from Pittsburgh. So I feel like we're pretty much locked and loaded the same way we were last year on the defense, minus a couple of spots, you know. But those players, like you said, we got Barlow, you know, how we got these guys on their last years of their contracts that coming in trying to, you know, have a contract year. So it's like, let these guys play. You know, obviously I'm not saying not to draft any. We're going to get into the draft, but not to draft any.
Right.
But, you know, how do you feel about that? For the fans to think that, you know, oh, man, you know, we don't get this defensive player, you know, they're going to score 30 points. What are we going to do when they're scoring 30 points on the hit? Because I feel like we still got a top 3, top 5 defense still today, just like we did last year.
Yeah. No, it's a good point you bring up. And I've said that I feel like our defense is underrated or will be underrated as we go into the season. So, you know, and I kind of like it that way, to be honest, because let's fly under the radar, right? There were a lot of expectations, but kind of the storyline has been, oh, well, Philly's lost all these players on the defensive side of the football. And yes, there's players like you just mentioned that are going to have to step up, and a Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, like, it's their time to shine. But to your point also, there's a reason that Howie drafted those players. And so now is the time is of the essence. They're going to have to play more snaps, and they're going to have to make an impact. So I would say, as far as just your starting lineup, you could argue that I think we're there, and we don't necessarily have to add any other pieces, but it always comes down to injuries and depth. So, you know, like you mentioned, I mean, we're going to draft some players, but the question becomes, like, how high do you start drafting these selections here? There's several players, you know, like, obviously huge news, great news to have BG back, Fletch back, several of the guys there. But I mean, is BG going to play another season after this? Is Fletch going to play another season or be with Philly another season after this? You know, just a lot of one-year signings. And so Howie is great at it, and this is why he's so awesome, is he sees into the future. He has his crystal ball, and he can predict the future, and he knows who to go out and draft. Because, I mean, back whenever Jalen Hurts was selected, I thought that was a terrible pick, and look how that's transitioned, how that's transpired. So he always can kind of see or think ahead, and that's where the argument comes down to, okay, at 10, do you select a defensive lineman? Because I think that's the favorite. I mean, according to Vegas odds, if you're following any of that, I mean, that's the #1 pick, or the favorite for the Eagles to pick based on position. So I don't know. But if you take a guy, I mean, realistically, are they going to come in and start day one? Yeah, I don't know. That probably not. I mean, you've got a great solidified D line as it is, but again, we saw him do it last season with Jordan Davis, so it wouldn't surprise me. And also a Cam Jurgens in the second round, a guy who did basically nothing. Now it's great to have that depth, but I think injury purpose, especially the way that Howie loves to do the D line rotation, it wouldn't shock me at all if he's taking a D line at 10.
Then you look at too. We say Jordan Davis, but then you got Milton Williams, who he played decent, sparingly, but he looked good when he was out there last year. You got on the end, you still got Sweat. You still got Barnett coming back this year, who missed the whole season last year. You know what I'm saying? I know some people are on the fence with him. Some people like him, some people don't. But he's a good football player. You know what I'm saying? He might not have been the sack leader that we all wanted him to be. He was good against the run. And he's a big physical guy that, he can come back and help with that rotation. Then you got both Johnsons, Teron, and I forgot Kenyon or whatever, Johnson, the DNs over there, linebackers. That they played some roles, some snaps last year, and they looked good when they were playing. So, and I'm a big U.S.C. fan, so I'm always on root for my boy Marlon. To a little he balled out. He was getting more snaps in the beginning of the season before he got hurt too than Jordan Davis or any the rest of those guys. So he's another guy coming back. I feel like we're at a point where I feel like we can actually risk going a different direction. Just for the simple fact that you have to find out what you got in-house. You drafted these guys a year ago, some of them 2 years ago. It's time to see with, multiple snaps, more snaps. Can these guys hold up and be these guys moving forward? Like you said, we're about to sign, Jalen Hurts is this monster deal. We're going to need all the young guys to be on board and ready to roll and know what we have. And that's a really big reason why I even want to make a video about Jordan Davis and like the impact he can have this year. Because I feel like he's going to be hungry to come back out. Milton's still hungry. He's showed every year he's gotten a little bit better. You got to find out what you got first and then, go from there first as opposed to let's just keep, going, spending assets in the same position. Like you said, we brought in Street too. That's another good guy, on that defensive line. So we can't just overload one as part of the team. We got to keep it balanced around the whole team there. So
I agree. And I think too, I mean, you're kind of alluding to it as well, but it's like Howie, if I'm Howie right now, I think that he's looking at it saying, okay, we're good. And in terms of he's not having to draft based on needs. So then it just comes down to his big board. And obviously we'd all love to know what's on his big board and who's the top ranked player and all this other stuff. But I think he's going to be able to go in there and draft whatever is the best player available. And he could forget about, we need a defensive lineman or we need an offensive lineman. We need this, we need that. He can come in and just be like, all right, let's see how the chips fall, and that'll dictate where the draft goes. Yeah, he's probably going to trade up or backwards, just depending on how the draft falls, but he's still not trading based on only going after a specific player position. It's going to be an individual player that maybe is slipping. I know Jalen Carter, that's the rumors and the speculations, is he going to make it at 10 or is he going to fall back a little bit further or be available in a position where how he might trade up to a 7 or 8? I don't know. I can't wait to figure out what happens on draft night, but I'm curious to know your thoughts too, because again, I know that's big rumors and speculation. Adam Schefter was on 97.5 earlier this week saying that, it seems like the Eagles are the main play there and they're going to be the ones to kind of dictate this. But if and the question came up, I think on Wednesday on the live show that I was doing, but it's how far does Jalen Carter have to fall before you consider taking him, or do you consider taking him at all? There's so many, it's so polarizing. I've gotten a lot of people say, yes, you have to. And a lot of people say, no, I stay clear of him.
Here we go. I didn't really know the whole picture, but the guy obviously got, a little off balance there. You know what I'm saying? He has a friend die, he was lying to cops. You know what I'm saying? Got a whole little case thing going for him. And it was just one of them things where he came into the combine out of shape, didn't look the part anymore. And it's for me, it's not saying that he can't be a good, professional football player. But what it is a lot of these guys drafted high anyway, take a year or two before they're that stud. There's very few that come in rookie year and go out there and be all pro. Pro Bowler. Usually defensive tackle, it takes a year or two for them to really get the grasp of the game. They're going to get better competition to become dominant players. So it's you're kind of putting them in the same boat we did last year with Jordan Davis if we do draft him. He's going to get some snaps, but he's not going to be the main guy on that defensive line. You still got Fletch, Jordan, Milton, all those guys rotating in, Marlon. So it's for me, you're never at a position like this, you don't win a Super Bowl and have the 10th overall pick, like ever. Like this is something that I think is hard for people to understand. It never happens, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't. It just doesn't happen for us to have this. I feel like we have the luxury to, like you said, to do whatever we want. But I don't think we need to push and jump for that. I do feel like at 30, if we need to move up from 30, we can still get a good tackle, defensive tackle. We can still get a good defensive end at 30. You know, you can move up a little higher if you need. If you find a guy that you like, you want to move up and grab him. But in terms of just Jalen Carter himself, like, he's a great football player. You know, I want, you know, if we drafted him, am I gonna cry about it? No. You know what I'm saying? You know, he's going with Jordan Davis, who obviously they had reports saying that, you know, when he was with Jordan Davis kind of kept him in line. You know, he was doing good. He was no off-the-field issues. You know, he's going back with Nakobe Dean, you know, another linebacker that he played with, you know what I'm saying? So it's be a lot of familiarity there to the point where it's like, yeah, it could work out pretty good. You know, he for what he's going to be expected for his first year, I feel like he could probably fill that role. But in terms of like 10, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not my pick. That's not my pick right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know, They did say the other guy, you know, before we get to the main guy, that is my pick. You know, they did say, well, how do you feel about Will Anderson Jr., though? You know, with these quarterbacks going early, team trying to move up and get these quarterbacks. You know, you got, you know, a couple of defensive linemen. You never know which way the team's going to go. You know, it projects one way, but the draft's always unpredictable by the time you get to the draft. Players besides the first three, it's like everything else is kind of, you know, hit and miss at what's going on. So how do you feel about like a Will Anderson Jr. coming off the edge? It's kind of the same as a Hassan Reddick, but I feel like if we are moving more towards a 3-4 base, even though we're going to be multiple, but a 3-4 base, then you got Reddick and a Will Anderson Jr. Now that'd be one guy. You know, he rocks the 31 from Alabama here. That'd be the one guy I would be excited about seeing on there. You know, opposite of freaking, you know, Hassan Reddick. Now you got something going there. So how do you feel about Will?
That would be pretty dangerous. Yeah, I would be all in favor of that. The question was brought up, I think, earlier this week as someone in the comments section, but it's, you know, how far do you wait until, like, let's say Will Anderson slips? Because I don't think he will. I think I really see him getting drafted in like the top 4, maybe top 5, but he's an incredible talent, and I think there's some players, you know, to your point, there's some players that take a little bit of time to get acclimated to the NFL game, but there's usually 1 or 2 defensive players, and a lot of times it's on the defensive end or at the defensive end position that just come in like game wreckers from day one. Now, you know, you could say an Aiden Hutchinson, he started to get even a little bit better, but he had a pretty productive season. The Bosa brothers obviously come right in. Chase Young, there's something in the water with Ohio State players, but defensive end, you know, that position. So I think Will Anderson, out of all the players in the draft, is going to be that guy who will come in and have a great season from day one. So that's just the question of how far does he fall before you consider, like, should we trade up? Should we give away a little bit of draft capital to get him? Because I think he is that type of game changer. Other than Will Anderson, I mean, maybe a Jalen Carter, potentially. That's the one that I can't fully answer yet, because the Will Anderson to me is an absolute yes. And if it's, I think if he's falls to 7, you trade up, you go get him, maybe even a 6. I think you got to trade up, whatever that ends up being. If it's a 10 and a 30, you go get him. I know that's giving up more draft capital that you don't have a lot this year anyway. But he's a difference maker. Maybe with Jalen Carter, if he's like at an 8 or 9, it's not as much that you have to give up. I don't know. You might just wait till 10. And then at 10, you know, then the question becomes, what if I know Tyree Wilson had gotten a lot of hype, and then recent mock drafts seem to suggest he's falling a little bit further down. I really like him with a lot of potential, but he is kind of what you were bringing up a second ago. To me, Tyree Wilson is one of those players that does need a year or 2 to really acclimate to the NFL game. So if you take a Tyree Wilson, you're not expecting him to come in and give you 10 or 11 sacks. You're taking him and saying, yeah, you know, a productive season is probably 4 sacks. So that's not someone that's like, oh, great, we used a first-round pick on. But I think later on down the line, he could develop into something. But then the question becomes, you know, what is Howie want to do with that 10th pick?
Yeah, no, I'm more aboard with this year coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want this 10th pick to affect this year coming up, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care about the year after, none of that stuff. I'm talking about this year impact player off the jump. I'm not saying that none of these guys are impact players. My, you know, whole grasp of this draft class that we're going into, there's a couple elite players I feel like, you know what I'm saying, that, okay, that guy, yes. Like you said, Will Anderson, okay. BIJAN, yes. You know, even the Jalen Carter kind of falls in that mix, yes. But the rest of these guys are just really good players. You know, to me, it's like where that whole rest of that first round, they're going to be people falling. They're going to be people, you know what I'm saying, going into the second
People
round.
reaching and making mistakes. Yeah.
Players and stuff. So you're going to be able to be like last year, how you're able to scoop with Nakobe Dean in the third. You know, you're still going to be able to scoop some really good, talented players, you know, late first, second round, and third round. You know, we got, 4 out of the top 100 picks. You know, we're going to be able to get 3 good players. I want to make sure we get 4 good players, but 1 being an elite player that can help us right off the jump this year. So how do you think Howie's looking at this draft? Do you think he's more at the point where, like, the fans, let's get somebody that we know for sure can build? Because, you know, once you get that rookie contract, you're locked in for 5 years, majority of the time. You know, yeah. You got 5 years on the player. So we got 2 of them. And like I tell people last year, Jordan Davis was what we wanted last year, the defensive player. But we traded the other first-round pick and got an offensive player, you know, A.J. Brown, even though he's not a rookie, but he was, you know, used that rookie pick to get him, that first-round pick to get him. Mm-hmm. You know, he was, to me, more impactful player for a football team. So how do you feel how he's going to do that? And do you see how he's making any other kind of similar trades with players that are available via trade?
Yeah, I don't see him making a trade for a player. I do see him making a lot of trades in this draft because, like we were talking about a second ago, there's fewer draft selections, obviously, in this year's draft. There's the 4 in the top 100, which is great, but only having 6, I mean, we know what Howie likes to do in the draft period is to try to get more selections. And so I feel like, personally, he's looking at this draft and saying, we're either going to take someone early, and maybe that's at 10, or maybe that's trading up into 7, 8, 9, somewhere. If a player's starting to fall a little bit, you go get a Will Anderson maybe, or Jalen Carter. But if that doesn't happen, then the question is, do you take someone like a Bijan Robinson at 10? But if you do, I really don't think, and this may be a hot take that you disagree with or curious to know your thoughts, but I don't think that after night 1, we walk away with 2 selections. I think we're going to walk away from night 1 with only 1 pick, whether it was a very early pick or we traded back and we took 1 and we traded back again. I think Howie's going to go into it saying, like you mentioned, there's a lot of great talent, but it's kind of like that mid-level talent, a lot of potential, but guys that are a little bit unknown. So you don't really have to go reach in the first round. There's going to be great guys available day 2, day 3 of the draft. And so Howie wants to get his hands on more picks, more selections to actually get those guys. So I see him looking at this draft as an opportunity. You got 2 first-round draft picks, maybe make a splash with a 1, big draft selection, but then from there on start trading backwards, especially because I didn't really like, and I don't know if you saw it, but Mel Kiper's most recent draft, he had the mock of in the first round or in the first selection taking Peter Skoronski. To me, that feels not like a great pick at number 10, but he loves it, and he's done it in the 2 consecutive mock drafts. So for some reason, he's really in love with Skoronski to the Eagles. But at 30, he had the Birds trading back. And I love that scenario. And he made a good point. I will say a lot of times I'm totally against what Mel's saying in his mock draft, but he made a good point at 30 because he said, obviously with that 5th-year option, a team who might want a quarterback could trade up. And so he had the Seahawks as a potential. There's other teams that I think could do that as well. But just the value alone of having that 30th pick, being in the first round and getting that extra 5th-year option, I think teams will be like, yes, we will sign up all day, every day. Tell us what you want. What picks do you want us to trade? Because we want to get in very into the first round and pick their future or potential future quarterback.
With that 30 pick, moving back from it, like for me, I'm all on board with taking both players, both 2 picks in the first. The way it's set up, like you said, 5 years rookie contract, 2 impactful players. If you're getting them in the first round, even at 30, you can still get another impactful player at 30. So you're talking about 5 years impactful player. You're looking for the best players you can grab for the longest period of time without having to give them the bag. We're about to get Jalen a huge bag. I know it doesn't start next year, but you're looking at the next year. But you still got guys like A.J. Brown, 4 years. You got guys like Smitty, 3 years. You got Goddard, 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years. You got all this young talent still there for 3 or 4 years to surround this MVP type quarterback. So you need to go ahead and continue building there and have a stable, elite type players. So that's why basically going into, I want Bijan. You know what I'm saying? Like, period. At 10,
yep.
Bijan, go run up. If he's still right there, you run to that board. Like everybody say, no, trade back. No, you run to the board and get him. Like, don't play games. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't understand. Like, we are still missing. To me, that's what I ask you. Dude, what do you think is the biggest holes? Like, real holes. So for me, it's the running back position. You know, we got stars along all the rest of it. Even Edmonds, you know, from the safety, he's a starting type player. You know what I'm saying? He started in the NFL. You know, we got Blankenship or whoever else going to play safety with him. Those guys started games before. You know, we got the best secondary in football with Slade Bradbury, you know, Maddox. We got Greedy Williams. So either one of those two can fall back to the other safety spot if we need to use them there. You know, linebackers got Murrow coming in, you know what I'm saying, who's looking to prove himself. He's had a great season last year. You know, Dean has to prove himself. We got to figure out what's going on with him. You know, and there's a little bit of time. He did show some glimpse of, you know, promise when he had that game. He came in for the third or fourth quarter and had like 15 tackles. You know what I'm saying? He showed that he can play this game at a high level. You heard JG say all last year in the room, he's like a studied warrior. You know, he's out there. He dissected plays. He knows all the things.
He's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to prove it.
And he got that chip on his shoulder. Exactly. So that's the linebacker spot because the other linebacker's ready. You know, you go to your defensive line, you know, we already know what BG's going to do. He's actually getting better the older he gets, which is weird. You know, every year he's getting eclipsing the higher standard.
He's defeating Father Time somehow. Yeah. I don't know what that is, but
so he's going to be playing. And like I said, I'm big on Barnett, you know, in terms of being a good, you know, solid rotational piece. Sweat had an amazing season last year. You know what I'm saying? He's keep getting better every year that he's playing. And who else we got on that defensive line? We got Jordan Davis, like I said, looking to make a big impact. And like I said, just those other role players. So it's like those guys, we got a front four start, you know, starter level front four. Then you go to your offensive line, the hole we're missing at Sayamalu maybe. But I really feel Jurgensen can fill in that role. You know what I'm saying? I think he can step, plug and play him in, just like we did Landon Dickerson. The only worry I worry about a little bit is what happens if it happens the same thing that we did with Landon. Landon wasn't supposed to be our left guard. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be Jason Kelsey's backup. You know, he got to play when Brooks and Sayamalu went out that year. He got to play that left guard spot, and he just took it over. And he played at such a high level, you couldn't move him no more. It's like, what happens if that happens to, you know, Jurgensen? He goes and he plays that right guard. It's a good problem to have. You know, he becomes this all-pro, you know, type Pro Bowl type right guard. And then next year, Kelsey does retire. We got to replace him. But I'm not really worried about next year. But I'm just saying, like, that would be another hole. We got to go find another center for that. But other than that, man, that offensive line is still there. You know, Lane Johnson looks great from recovery. You know, you see videos of him. This dude's flexes. He's more flexible than I am.
I know. That's what I was saying. I was like,
what the heck's going on? Lane?
For being that big of a dude.
Like, who does that when you're that big?
No. Yeah. You know? You just had adductor surgery to repair that. I mean, good gosh. Yeah. He's ridiculous. He's a beast.
And then
I'm with you.
And then you got Mailata, who needs to have a bounce back year. It wasn't a horrible year. It just wasn't what we expected after having the year he had before. You know, a year before, a Pro Bowl level player, you know what I'm saying, looking like, okay, so this year he's probably going to hit the all-pro level. And he didn't really quite do that. You know, I heard he was injured a little bit throughout the time. But other than that, it's like I feel like he's going to have a bounce back season this year. He's going to be all right. So you got your receivers. You know, I don't know how you feel about the third receiver in Quez Watkins, if you think we need to upgrade that or not. I think give Quez another shot. He admitted that he was out of sync last year. You know, he admitted it. If he never came out and admitted nothing, you know, if he just took it like whatever, you know, like Rager did, then whatever, you let him go. You know, you try to replace him. But he knew what's going on. He said he had some off-the-field issues, and then on the field mentally, he just wasn't all there. You know what I'm saying? He had some untimely drops, and he just wasn't used to playing a role of being third when you just were number 2 on our team. You know, he had 700 yards, a big season. Everybody expecting Quest to come back out this year and ball out like he did the year before. Even though we got AJ, we thought it's going to be even more easier for him. Because now he's just going to take the top off the defense. We're going to see a lot of big bombs to Quest Watkins, and we didn't see it. You know, we didn't see it. He's dropped a couple of big ones, especially the one in Super Bowl. I know everybody's killing him for. But, you know, he's dropped some throughout the season that was just like, okay, he's not all in this game. But I say he's a good enough third receiver because that's like the 5th option on our team. And I don't really care too far that far down the, you know, targets.
Yeah.
Worry about it. I'll give him another shot. So you're looking at your receivers being good. The only spot left is running back. You know, you got a Rashad Penny, Trey Sermon, whatever. Did you have one play last year and didn't see him the rest of the season? You know, you already know what Boston Scott brings you. To me, I think he did better with us. You know, everybody's like, want a kickoff return. I think once we put Boston Scott as our kickoff return was good enough. You know what I'm saying? You're never going to have elite all across the board. You're not going to be elite defense, elite offense, and elite special teams in terms of like the return game. So you got to feel good with Boston Scott. He did a great job. He had some nice returns last year. And Kenny Gainwell's balling now. Kenny does the best with the least I've ever seen, like any running back coming out. You know what I'm saying? But I worry about his size to say, okay, now he's that good to the point where I would say, here are my number one back. You know what I'm saying? He's not that good to me. You know, I think he's a good football player. He's not an elite football player. And right now we're replacing an elite running back in Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders was a Pro Bowler last year. Miles Sanders had a hell of a year last year. You know, you look at, you know, they go, whoa, Jalen Hurts is the leader of the run game, but, you know, Miles still had over like almost 1,300 yards, double-digit touchdowns. Like, you don't just replace that with nobody. You know, there's been plenty of games. Remember when we had what's his name, Jordan Howard, and everybody's like, Jordan came in with a couple of nice power runs. He getting those 90-yard games, and everybody's like, oh, he's the guy. You know, we don't need Miles no more. We got Jordan Howard. And as soon as Miles came back, you see that yards per carry thing just get demolished. You know what I'm saying? I remember Miles had less carries and more yards the first game back, you know, just because he is an impactful, explosive running back. And it takes pressure off of Jalen Hurts. Everybody thinks Jalen pulls the defense. He does. Everybody thinks we got the best offensive line. We do. But the third part of that is you got to worry about Miles Sanders, too. You had to worry about Miles Sanders last year. And I don't think even Penny, you know, he hasn't stayed healthy that much. I don't think even Penny is considered a number one, you know, to the point where I think defense is going to say, oh, we need a game plan for Penny. So that's the real reason I think that the number one, you know, hole on our team right now is running back. And we still haven't filled it. You know, do we got good depth there? Yes. So now you go get that superstar stud. Do you want to go play a running back, that kind of money that is sort of free agency, or go trade for one of these guys that want buku money, even like a Zeke? I thought Zeke, I hate the Cowboys, but I'm like, okay, if Zeke want to have a 1-year prove-it deal with us, you know, just to get the Cowboys twice a year, I'll be down with that. But even that kind of money is not rookie money. And the player's a lot younger, a lot better. He's the highest, you know, prospect coming out, you know, in the years, they say, you know what I'm saying? Like, I watched a lot of his tape, and he looks like a bona fide stud to me. Like, I'm ready for him all day. You know, he played on an average Texas team. You know, the offensive line was trash, you know, but he still had all those yards, all them touchdowns. You know, he can catch, he can run, he can line up in the slot. He can be a 3-down back that can be really explosive and take some pressure off of Jalen Hurts this year.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, you know where I stand on this. So we're team draft 5. So the Spurs, I saw that first with Philly 500, and then it was kind of like, yep, sign me up. I'm on board too. So, but no, it's yes, you're right in the assessment of, like, everyone I think is curious, like, what would this team look like, whether they're on board with drafting Bijan Robinson or not. Like, everyone's curious of what the team would look like if you have a stud running back behind this O-line, with the quarterback, with the receivers, an RPO offense. Like, how do you account for it? How do you stop it? And right now, if you were to say, if you could guarantee me, and I'm not saying that Rashad Penny is on the level of Bijan Robinson, but if you could guarantee me that Rashad Penny could stay healthy for 17 games, then I would say, you know what, we don't need to draft a running back, and let's not do it. Even though Bijan is more talented, but Rashad Penny's played 18 games in 3 years. So, like, it's off the table that he's going to stay healthy. I mean, I hope he does, but just the chance that that's going to happen, because when he's on the field, he's averaging 6.3 yards a carry. So, I mean, the guy can run, and he's a bruiser. And I loved him ever since he was at San Diego State for a long time. But I mean, you know, he's already getting up there in years for a running back. He's had multiple injuries, and a lot of times you don't come back at that same level. And so there's a ton of question marks. And I think that Nick has been very open about it, as has Howie, saying, like, yeah, we love the running back room, but we probably are going to look at another running back. So what does that mean? Does it mean the draft, or does that mean free agency? I think we hope that they are looking at the draft, because I agree. The same thing with Bijan. This changes the dynamic of the team completely. And while there's not really any holes at any other position, I know that a lot of people make the case, the argument, there's a lot of one-year contracts and we got to think ahead, plan long-term. And that's true, you do, but there's still other picks that you could do that with. And it's not like you're not solidifying a need or a specific position with Bijan Robinson. So I don't know. I'm excited about the potential. I know that the rumors and speculation, shout out to Joe Castro, the Philly, the podcast, because he was the first one that I saw that said, hey, there's legitimate, serious interest in Bijan Robinson on Howie Roseman's side. And now there's other reports now that are kind of echoing the same sentiment. But, like, That to me is exciting because it tells you how he's at least considering doing something that he has never done, or he's really never considered to value the running back position. But like he's mentioned in multiple interviews, you have to always be changing your philosophy. You have to stay one step ahead of the curve. So you can't be, oh, well, what does the rest of the league think about running backs at this point? No, you don't make a decision based on that. You say, what does my team look like and how do I make them better? And Bijan Robinson does that hands down. You can't argue otherwise. For someone who says, I don't want Bijan, okay, fine. If you don't want Bijan, that's one thing. But tell me it doesn't make this team better if you get Bijan Robinson, and you really can't. So I don't know. I'm excited to see it. I think the only and it scares me because I know we talked about Peter Skoronski and Mel Kiper has mocked him twice, and there's other people that do it. I'm not saying that Peter Skoronski is not a good player. I think he is, but 10 is way too early to me to draft a Peter Skoronski.
I agree.
But the one fear that I have, and this will be incredibly telling of what the team thinks about Cam Jurgens, is if Peter Skoronski gets selected at 10, then right then and there, I can guarantee you that the team doesn't trust Cam Jurgens. Because if you trust him, why are you taking a Peter Skoronski? So that'll be the telling pick. When we get to 10, obviously we'll know whether or not, okay, is Bijan available? Is he going to be taken? Is Jalen Carter still on board? You know, what are the options? But at the point that we see the pick, if Skoronski is going to the Eagles, I mean, I'll be disappointed. I'll be honest.
But that's like another spot we do got serviceable backups at. You know what I'm saying? Like Driscoll can go in there and play some football. You know what I'm saying? Toff can go in there and play some football. They played already. Like it's not like we got players that we haven't seen play in games and actually do hold their own. You know, these are big football players. They went to Mud University over there. You know, we got the best, offensive line coach in the game right now. You know,
yeah, we got the Stoutland cheat code.
Stoutland University, it's a cheat code. So it's like, yeah, why would you worry about it? Like I feel like unless Stoutland's banging at the table, like you said, hey, Jurgens is not the guy. You know what I'm saying? We need to find a hole. But even then, like, you still got to go, is Driscoll the guy? Is Toff the guy? You know, if a couple of the other linemen that we've seen play already, are they the guy and go in there? Because you're looking at, right next to two Hall of Famers. You know what I'm saying? Right in the middle of two Hall of Famers there. So they're going to get a lot of coaching on the field, to help them out, help their game out. Plus, they got a good, when they need a double team, they got some really good guys to help, with that, to help the development. So, and like you said, man, it's just like, how much do you want? Because I feel like a lot of people got stuck on last year. Our defense had so many sacks. You know what I'm saying? They were up there and one, almost broke the record for sacks. So they're thinking, in order for us to get back to the Super Bowl, we got to have the same type defense. And I'm telling you, no one expected the Jalen Hurts jump to go, first year starter, second year starter. No one expected it to be that big. No, I did. I always claim. I told you guys, as soon as you dropped it, you said you didn't like the pick. I love the pick when it happened. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew what Holly was doing. He's like, I need a backup. I just gave Carson a bag, and I can't pay $10 million, $15 million a year to back up quarterback now that I done paid all this money to my star quarterback. I don't think people really looked at it that way. They looked at, the talent. They're trying to put pressure on Carson. Yes, would have put up a little bit of pressure, yes, but you're just locking down, a guy that's been injured. You're locking down a spot, that you don't have to worry about paying a lot of money. You get a high quality player, and Jalen Hurts was that guy, and we see the reason why, like you said, he ended up being more than the guy that anybody expected. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd be clapping for the MVP for Jalen because I think he's that dude. But at the end of the day, like, no one really knew it was going to happen this fast, And imagine year 2 to year 3, that's going to be another job. I think this year our team's going to be led by our offense. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
We're still going to have a good defense, but you got the A.J. Brown, second system with, Jalen Hurts. Same with Goddard. Same with Vontae Smith. Those are 3 elite, receiving targets that you have on the football field. No matter as long as you have them on the field together, growing together, the more they throw to each other, the better they're going to get. So that's going to be a huge jump, I feel like, this year that people aren't really thinking about. But then, to the point of, can you do it with an all right running back, with a good running back, with a decent running back? Yes, you probably still could do it. But why not get an elite running back? You know what I'm saying? Like you said, no one's been compared to this guy. And some people think he's the best prospect ever to come out of the position. But, I hear people talk about Saquon being – and Saquon's a beast when he's healthy. He's like he is the best running back. Like last year when he was healthy, look what Saquon did, with lesser talent. You get a guy that went to a crappy school with a horrible offensive line, and you're giving them the best offensive line in football, one of the best quarterback, top 2. I'm not saying any farther than top 2 quarterback in the game right now. You know what I'm saying? And then you're also giving them like these receivers that's going to take a lot of pressure off them. You can't guard everybody. Give this guy the ball, and he would be like home run hitting left and right. They help that run game out a lot. And I even think he'll be better than Miles Sanders did in this offense. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
He's a higher prospect. He's better. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to say, well, the Eagles did good with second-round running backs before. You know, why can't we do it again? And don't get me wrong. There are some great running backs in this draft, man. I love Big B from Auburn. I love Gibbs from Alabama. You know what I'm saying? I love Zach over there at UCLA. But at the end of the day, they're not, BIJAN. And that's the difference. Can you get a good running back to help your team? Yes. We can get either one of those guys for 30, second round, and probably even get a guy in the third round that will come in and play some meaningful football for us. But I'm about elite talent because I'm about winning the Super Bowl this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were there. Yep. It's time to go back and finish the job like Jalen Hurts says. You know what I'm saying? He didn't smell the smoke for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Let's go get that Super Bowl this year. And you do that by adding elite players. You don't do that by adding good players. You got to do it by adding as many elite players on the roster. At this day and age in the NFL, you just need what team has the most amount of elite players for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, Kansas City had the number one offense, and we were tied with us for the most points scored last year when they hit the Super Bowl. Their defense was really optimistic. You know what I'm saying? They had some nice young players on there that actually played at high levels, and they had some stars on there too. I think they had the same amount of all-pros as we had last year, 6. So it wasn't like we played some scrub team in the Super Bowl. And people keep reflecting back to that Super Bowl game thinking, defense. That was a bad game, period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For the defense. That was just a bad game for the defense, But a lot of people looking for that defense loser. I put the blame on the offense for losing that game. We had 2 turnovers in that first half when we were up double digits, Like, you can't do nothing like that with a Kansas City Big Red, our old coach. We already know what Big Red's about. You can't do nothing like that with a coach like that and a team on the other side like that. Not every team's Kansas City in this league. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not very many teams that are even at their elite status. So to be worried about one game, horrible field. I'm not using that excuse, but horrible field, just not at home. You know what I'm saying? Just a lot of little, intricacies. And we still was one drive away from winning the Super Bowl. So I think everybody need to pump the brakes with the defense. Our defense is pretty much intact, the same. It's time to use that luxury pick on a luxury player like BIJAN Robinson and help throw our offense to the next level. If you're developing, if your offense took that next step from year 2 to year 3, why not get a player that's going to help them take an even bigger step? And I think that's what BIJAN would do for us.
I agree. Yeah. And I mean, you don't have to sell me. We're lockstep on this thing. I would view BIJAN, but yeah, I don't even think that it's as much of a luxury pick, really. I mean, because, you could make the argument as well. And you were saying, like, with a Jalen Hurts, like, it's going to protect him, right? Like, we're talking about there's going to be a big contract coming soon. And I think I'm surprised it didn't happen already, but I think it'll be definitely before the season starts. And so if you sign him to what, like 6 years, 7 years, I know some people are saying it 10-year, like Mahomes, I don't think it'll be 10 years, but like 6 or 7 years. Well, okay, what's the best fire insurance for Jalen Hurts? It's getting BIJAN Robinson, because then you're not having to ask him to run the football or pound the football as often. You're like, hey, we got a running back for the next 5 years, and this guy's a stud, so we'll just give it to him. Like, you have a lot more balance there. And so, if you're already planning on paying your franchise guy and Jalen is your man, which obviously he is, why not get him the next guy to be able to stand back there in the shotgun in that RPO offense? It just adds longevity, I feel like, to both of the careers. So yeah, I'm all in favor of it. I don't know, because I was asked the question a couple days ago, and it's like, okay, so realistically, you want BIJAN Robinson, and I do, but realistically, do you think Howie is going to draft BIJAN Robinson? And I don't think that I'm quite ready to say that, because if I was forced to bet who he's going to take, I still feel like he's going to go with a defensive lineman at 10. I don't want him to, but I don't know that he's quite to that level. I think he's seriously considering BIJAN, but I don't know.
Since this new coaching staff has came in, Howie's been doing a lot of stuff he ain't normally do. Before this coach staff come in, we never even drafted SEC players, period. I used to be so mad every year in the draft. We're not drafting none of these talented FCC players. They're the best division in football. In college football, why aren't you drafting any players from it? Since the staff came in, we've drafted a lot of SEC players, which also helped bring, championship pedigree to our team. You got the Landon Dickersons, the Devontae Smiths, Deans, Jordan Davises, those type of players that are bringing a big impact, coming from these schools. So that's one thing he didn't do. Drafted basically three, if you count the A.J. Brown, 3 first-round receivers in a row. That never happened before.
That's true.
We're never up there, drafting receivers first round every single year. That doesn't happen for us, and we've done it. So Howie's already, with this new coaching staff, He's already have changed his scheme, and he's talking like he understands it. You're starting to hear him mature. But I understood where I messed up. He talked about not picking SEC players and why he didn't do it and why it was a mistake for him. He talked about not being locked in. I know offensive line, defensive line, but being able to just really get the best player available for the team. He talked about that stuff. So linebackers, I know they don't draft linebackers very high. I know they don't draft safeties very high, and I know they don't draft running backs very high. But if you look at the overall history of the Eagles, there's been over like 22 running backs drafted in the first round. If you count fullbacks too in the first round. Now I am adding back in the day, what I'm saying, we won those 3 championships. But even if you look at it, the whole time we have drafted some first round running back. It's just not what Howie's used to doing. But like I said, I think Howie's on a whole nother page. He's about what's best for the football team. And what's best for the football team, like you said, that's a glaring. It's not a luxury pick. Yeah, like you said, I don't think it'll be a luxury. It's a need. We need to have an elite running back there. And if you're not drafting BIJAN, as I have beg to differ, like might as well go ahead and try to draft trade for a player. We do got cap space to do it. They might as well go try to trade for a running back. Get one he's like at least I say minimum be like a Kareem Hunt. Go try to get you a Kareem Hunt type running back to throw back there because you don't have to put. I just feel like if we don't get that lead back, it's gonna put too much on Jalen. We don't give him that big contract. It's him be the lead running back on our team every single year.
Right.
We want him to run when he needs to run, but we want to. If you got a Bijan, you don't have to. You can take a couple of those carries off of Jalen's Miles.
Yeah, we don't want to be the Buffalo Bills. I mean, look at how Josh Allen is fortunate to not be as even more beat up. But like, if they keep doing that, there's going to be huge issues. Yeah, I'm with you. We do not want to be the Buffalo Bills in terms of the offense. And I think you mentioned this on last week's live show, or at least whenever you talk about Philly 500. But also Jeffrey Lurie has obviously hinted at, or kind of flat out said it, like, offense is more important than defense. Like he says, in this league, you win with offense. So it's just another point to be made. Like, yeah, if you're going to win, you're going to build on the offensive side of football. And they're looking at this season even more so than they have in the past to say, we are going to solidify the offense even more. As dangerous as it is, we're just going to add more pieces. And I'm with you. The number one top priority of that list, it's got to be running back. And so why not take the best running back in the draft? Because he is most likely, I mean, I'd be shocked. I guess he could go ahead of 10, but most likely he's going to be available at 10. So I don't know. That seems like a no-brainer. I would love to see it, obviously, because just the offense gets even crazier. You add into the mix.
And do you agree with that? Because I kind of do agree nowadays. You do need more offense. Like we said, the Super Bowl, prime example. We had the better defense. We had one of the best defenses ever put together, and we still lost the Super Bowl. Patty Mahomes, that offense, it was really good offense. Yes, they didn't have as big of like receivers as AJ Brown on their roster, but they still have Travis Kelce, who's the best tight end in the game. And they still had like that running backs, Pachero, who was a 7th round pick, but he was great out there. Playing his part. I've got McKinney out there, nice receiving back. He still had enough weapons, to be a legit bona fide offense, and he scored more points than we did at the end of the day. So it's about scoring points. They'd be like, well, if you get Bijan, you're going to have your defense giving up 30 points. And then what are you going to do then when you got to pass the ball? I'm saying if we get Bijan's going to score so many touchdowns. Come on.
Yeah.
He's going to score so many touchdowns. You guys don't even know.
He definitely will.
Looking at the college film, like, oh, look what he did. Even like his 5 to 8, 8 to 10 yard runs he made last year, jump cutting, in the hole, on the side hole, sidestepping. When he plants that leg to go, he's the opposite direction. Pronto, and he is out of there. So he doesn't have elite speed like I would like. I would like to be a little bit faster, but he got enough breakaway speed to make a lot of big plays. And we do got the offensive line to make the holes a lot better, a lot bigger and better than it was in Texas there.
I agree. Yes. And I was trying to look this up too, because I know it was really bad. I didn't have the official number, but so if you take away Jalen Hurts' numbers in the Super Bowl for the rushing attack, there was Kenneth Gainwell for 7 carries for 21 yards, Miles Sanders 7 for 16, and Boston Scott 3 for 8. Like that's less than 2.7 yards per carry from the running backs. Like if you added Bijan Robinson and he had been there, you're not asking Jalen to carry the ball 15 times for 70 yards. Now, granted, he was Superman in the game. He did everything. I know he had the fumble, but it was a slip, a weird, fluke play, and he took ownership of it. He even said, I cost us there. But It's like he did everything. So if you had a running back that could actually, and not knocking Miles Sanders because he's a good running back, but it's just BIJAN is on the next level. And like we were talking about earlier, like it's not like we're pulling this out of thin air. Like the top scouts and everybody else are saying that Bijan Robinson is like Saquon Barkley, and a lot of them are saying that he's better than Saquon Barkley. So the arguments, I know I've heard people saying, oh, that Saquon Barkley is just a different level or in a different league. That's, maybe for a player like that you would draft, but not a Bijan Robinson. I'm sorry, but like I'm just going with a lot of the other scouts, and they're also telling me the same thing. Like I can see it with my own two eyes, but I also want to get some validation from some other people. And when they're saying the same thing, it's like, okay, well, I mean, that's what I thought I saw, but
player in the draft.
Yeah.
Draft, #1 player.
Right. Yeah. He's
and
like
people realize they look at these high draft pick running backs, they worry a little bit, but most likely, even like top 2 round, but like I'm saying the first running back taken off the board the last 4 to 5 years. These guys have been studs on their team. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they might be on their own lesser quality team. Like these teams they go on to are trash. You know what I'm saying? So they're studs on trash teams off the bat, and that's maybe the reason why their career don't turn out the way that we expected to turn out, because they played on such crappy team. They didn't win no Super Bowls. They didn't win no nothing because the team they were the team. They carried the team. Now you're talking about a Super Bowl ready team right now. I feel like before the draft even starts, right now we're Super Bowl contenders. Period.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
So now you're saying like you're gonna throw this elite player on a Super Bowl roster, man. It's going to be a bigger impact than if it was a normal guy, drafted in the top 10. So, I feel like you just got to look at all aspects of it, and it's all aspects of shaping up for us to get this guy. If you look at the pieces we got, that you get a guy like Penny that has some kind of upside to nurture a rookie running back. If you look at any first round running back, that's drafted really high, go look at those teams. They went and got them a nice veteran running back, that they are dependable, that they can put in for some place. They know he's not going to be the featured guy, but we want to be able to have a veteran running back there in case something does happen. He doesn't turn out to be the guy he wants to be. But 9 times out of 10, they do turn out to be that guy. So, yeah. What are some other needs you think? Like, what would be your second? Because for me, I still feel like we need another tight end. I think Goddard's good. I love Jack Stahl for what he did. You know what I'm saying? He's a serviceable tight end. But he's more of a blocking back. Jackson, we ain't even seen him play the last 2 years. We've been praying for him. We see one great preseason game. We're like, this is going to be the next coming of, Gronk and freaking, what's his name? What's the dude's name? Gronk and, the guy that died.
Hernandez,
Hernandez, and this dude, he gets hurt every single year. So it's like, I feel like we need to go out there. The guy that I've been really watching is Wallace from Georgia. Another, top school. He didn't have that many catches. He had a nice little thing, but he's 6'7", 265. It's like a 6th offensive lineman on it. His thing is he blocks really well. He got good hands. He don't have the speed. Calcaterra, I do like Calcaterra too. That's another receiving back. But I always feel like just like how when you had Devontae Smith, when we had Devontae Smith, Quez, all these guys, they were the same type of receiver. That's why none of the other ones were breaking out. You had to go get another opposite type of receiver in A.J. Brown to make him balance himself out. And that's how I feel like you have to do with a guy like, Goddard, is go get an opposite type receiver, that you can have double tight. Now you have like 7 offensive linemen on the field. And Goddard can block pretty good too. And like I said, you don't teach 6'7". You don't teach 265 pounds. That's just natural born gift. And he is the best blocking tight end in the draft. And he is projected to be late first round, second round pick coming off a championship team. So it's like, that's my second. I think we need to go ahead and get, like, I wouldn't draft him over if it was a good defensive player out there. I'm not going to say that. But I'm just saying, like, depending on how that board fell, or if we did a thing, like we moved back for an extra second round pick, what I'm saying? Go ahead and grab another tight end because, I feel like we already know the limits on Stahl. We know the limits. And then Calcaterra's kind of, to me, he reminds me of kind of like a smaller Goddard. So it's like he's kind of the same receiver where he can give Goddard spells, for the same type of quality receiver. But I think, go get a big body tight end like that. And that's also going to help the run game. That's going to help Jalen. He's going to be a huge red zone threat. 6'7", he can body out anybody out there in the red zone. So what do you think would be the second one? And what are you looking at the Eagles to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, and I think considering tight end, me personally, and I agree with I think Dick Burrito saying I like Calcaterra, but I do too. I want to give him another chance. I would like to. I understand, blocking wise, it does make sense. And hey, if the cards fall and Darnell Washington is there and you could take him, yeah, he could be a game changer. But it's interesting because it wouldn't shock me, it wouldn't surprise me, because I didn't realize this until I can't remember who tweeted it. I saw it on Twitter, but Goddard is older now than Zach Ertz was whenever we actually drafted Goddard, which is hard to believe because I think of Goddard as a younger player, but with him being 28, like Ertz was younger than that when we got Goddard. And I remember thinking whenever we took Goddard, like, wait a second, we've got Ertz. Why in the world do we need to draft another tight end? Now, obviously, again, this is another situation where Howie thinking ahead, always picking. He seems to pick players that kind of pick players backups like a year or two before they get out of their prime. Like he's perfect at that. He sees the writing on the wall before we do. It's like whenever, and maybe it's just my blind like love for the team, and I see a guy and I'm like, no, he's gonna be great for forever. So I don't want to replace him. But Howie's like clockwork. 1 to 2 years, this guy's going to be starting to get a little bit over the hill. So, hey, let's go ahead and draft the backup. That's the best player available. That's what they did with Dallas Goedert. That's what they've done with a number of players. But it wouldn't surprise me for tight end. I think personally, you either have to go, and this is, assuming that you take a Bijan Robinson at 10, which I would love. I think if you're going to take a selection at 30, it really has to be in the trenches. I mean, that's kind of Howie's MO. But I think with either a guy, some guy that can back up. I know that the Ohio State tackles have been getting visits. I don't think Paris Johnson would be there at 30, but DeJuan Jones is a potential name that's been thrown around. I know there's other tackles as well, but you think about you're obviously looking at Lane Johnson, or if you want to take a guard, depends on really how you feel about Cam Jurgens, like we were talking about earlier as well, or D-line. And I know that I never can pronounce his name, but Adebawor from Northwestern seems like he's getting a lot of, like, I know that he had a little bit of hype, but it seems like he's getting a lot more now. And there were reports from DeBird's blog, I think was the one that I saw it from, that said that Howie really likes, and he's very high on Adebawor from Northwestern. So, it's one D end among many. There's a lot of other choices that you could go with.
Even
but
safety. You'll get a battle. They'll bring a battle over here from Alabama or something like that. Big name safety, because they're not going high in the first, but that late round, that's where you look for to grab a player like that. Good as your nice safety that you can pair up with Edmonds. Now you don't have to worry about. Now you actually have depth at your cornerback spot, because you're not moving Greedy back there. You're not moving Maddox back there. You're keeping those guys in their original positions, and you're going on from there. You still got Josiah Scott and stuff like that. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind even a safety there. But for me, I would go tight end, like you said, offense. Like if you're really going to stay true to that. Like I said, there's still, to me, I feel like second, third round, you're still going to you can still get a stud, defensive player that's not, elite, but really good, have the upside to be really good in this league. What I'm saying? From linebackers to everything, safeties, D linemen, cornerbacks, I really like Ringo from Georgia too as well as a cornerback, maybe later on in rounds. At 30, you can go get a Joey Porter Jr., get a guy like that up in here at 30 in the first round. But like I said, we got to get Bijan first round, period. That's just where it's at to me. Like, I don't feel like, I'd be like trying to think of more videos to make, but I'm like, I don't really want nobody else. Like, I don't really care really after what happens. Like, if we draft Bijan that first pick, I'm pretty much done with the draft for real.
Yeah.
Because the rest, none of these players are going to be that impactful their first year. Not that they won't be good for our team years down the line. It's just like, I'm worried about next year's Super Bowl. I think the rest of the players for the longevity of the team, there'd be some nice players to have longevity, watch them grow together, to watch them get better, watch our team keep development with young talent. But for right now, this guy you can plug and play, and you're gonna be playing at a high level. You're gonna be all mad, first time.
I know it. Yeah. That'd be even more of a favorite for that reason. So I agree with you, man. And it's something that I haven't heard too many people really bring up or talk about, but like I'm sure by now it's kind of old news, but obviously Jason Kelsey interviewed Howie Roseman on the New Heights podcast. And that was probably the best interview I've ever seen. I loved all the extra insight, but like how he talks about, and you can see the camaraderie he has with veteran players. Now, he learned his lesson from 2017 to like not keep or retain the players that were definitely over the hill and needed to be let go. But he sees the writings on the wall, and even talking with Jason in that interview, he's like, you don't have another 3 years. So, to your point, like, we need to win now. We need to make the Super Bowl now. I think that Howie, yes, he's always trying to win, but even more so, he wants to do it for these veteran players that he sees the window for them is 1 year, maybe 2 years max. So you're not going to go into the draft and be like, well, let's go ahead and take these players that, next year they're not really going to contribute. The following year, probably a little bit, but by the third year, we can count them as starters. Like, no, he's going to go in and try to select that. So I think that's maybe another case in point where he could legitimately be considering Bijan Robinson because, like you said, that's the guy that gets the most impact this season, immediately impact as soon as he gets in the offense.
Nice, yeah, and like I said, so that's what it is in draft. And we kind of touched on those things. Any sleeper guys you think of, that you checked out, you seen some tape on that, maybe the later rounds, that you think that can come out and do something for our football team this year?
Yeah. I mean, I've looked at a couple, and it's hard to, you're always just projecting with mocks and like where they fall, but he's seeming to get a little bit more, but a JL Skinner from Boise. So I did a video on him a couple weeks ago, but yeah, I'm telling you, he looks like a dog. I mean, just the way that he attacks the football, like there, everybody has pros and cons. I mean, heck, look at I think Jason Kelsey's scouting report came out and people were like questioning other things. I saw Fletcher Cox, his was like, what was it, character issues or maturity or something. I'm like, okay, well, obviously that was the biggest miss ever, but everybody's got some pros and cons to it, but I'm just telling you from the film and the tape that I've watched so far, he's a type of player that seems to fit or would potentially fit Sean Desai's scheme because, he likes to move things around, unorthodox looks, confused quarterbacks, very versatile players. I mean, heck, look at the players that we've signed this free agency offseason period. It's a lot of rangy guys that you can put in a lot of different spots. And so Skinner being a taller, bigger safety, I think the knock is that, he could put on or could afford to put on a little bit more weight. But to me, I'm like, you know what? He's young. You could get him in here. Like you made the point of, Terrell Edmonds is there. It's not like you're taking him to start day one. So yeah, you pick him. He's back up to Terrell Edmonds. Give him a year to put on some more weight, get used to the NFL, but could be, a next year or 2 years down the road starter. I'd say that's a guy kind of later rounds, at least so far, at least one name that I've been keeping an eye on. But how about you? You any names that you like or
running back from UAB? I know I've been stuck here in Alabama because I see a lot of Alabama football living here. Alabama breeds college football, period. You know what I'm saying? They just everything. I work right next to the stadium, so we get passes a game. I go to all UAB games. I go to the Birmingham Stallion games, Alabama games. So it's like I watch a lot of Alabama football. So like McBrice is another, under the radar guy because he went to a school like UAB. It's not really that big, no powerhouse, but it is in Alabama. It's like the nephews of Alabama and Auburn, you got UAB down there, but there's still some talent over the last couple of years that came out of UAB. I really like the way he runs the football, and he can pass, he can receive out of the backfield, and that's if we didn't get like a Bijan Robinson. We decided not to go that route. I wouldn't, like I said, a Gibbs 30, but what happens if he's gone? Like, there's not too many that I'm like, okay, in the first 2 rounds I get. It's like later, second, third round, there's some good backs that you'll want to pick up. But this guy, I feel like you could probably even get him in like the 4th, or trade back, get a 4th round pick. Get him around that area. So that's what I would say is McBride from UAB to running back. And it's just like there's a couple other ones out there I've watched that. It's just like I said, like we gotta see how the board falls to even think about these players. Like it'll be like one of them drafts. You've been in that draft where you're just like, that's my guy. Oh, he's gone. Right before the Eagles. He's gone again. Like right before the Eagles, you're like, who am I gonna pick now? Who I want?
Exactly. Yes.
I don't even care who you pick no more. I don't even know none of these guys like that. We're gonna all see how good they are together. So but like I said, the position I feel that we have of need are positions that I feel like are really good in that first round. That what I'm saying, running back. If you want to go get a defensive lineman, you really feel like that's the thing to do. You can get a running back defensive lineman easily. I think Kancey can even push back to that 30. I know he gets hyped up, but if you notice around this time in the draft, there's a lot of players that get hyped up. You don't get a lot, especially after the combine. You get a lot of guys flying up this draft board just to throw, hype on their name. That's what the agents get paid to do, to make sure their players are getting noticed and they do their job. These players, like even some of these players that came out with Murphy and stuff, like, where was this guy before the draft? Where was this guy talked about before any of this stuff? What top 10 was he on? But now all of a sudden everybody, oh, this guy can be there at 10. Why?
I know it. Yeah.
Just late in the draft, talking about, oh, now he can be a top 10 pick. No, I don't want nobody like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't wait 2 weeks before the draft and all of a sudden you're just stud. No, you would have been stud the whole time. I want players that's been studs their whole life and they don't know nothing but to be a stud. So, you know, I don't really get too hyped up until they're pushing up the board type thing. If you weren't there from the start of, you know, as soon as football was over, you know, you should be those guys usually are the good players, you know, the ones that are already like, hey, this is your first round picks right here. They, you know, they just finished their season. They're already fresh. They did what they did. And those are your guys, you know, like I said, the combine helped boost people up with stats and metrics for those type of players. But other than that, you know, anything after the combine is like now you're just shooting barrels, you know, like just trying to hype somebody up to get them up there, get them drafted a lot higher. So I don't really buy into that too much. But I know you gotta get out here too. But what I like to do is I like to do an all-time team for all my Eagles fans. Really, any team that comes on here for the first time, I like to do an all-time team. You know, it's just you know, I'll give you a position, a couple players. You know, we kind of fly through there. You know, don't make it too hard for yourself. Just tell me, fan, you being an Eagles fan, who these players are for you, and then we can get to the final thoughts and wrap this one up here. So let's start out with quarterback. Who's your give me 2 quarterbacks, your all-time favorite quarterback, and who will be backing them up if you're making this team?
Oh man, yeah, that's a good question. I'm gonna say so far, and it's tough because I really, really love Jalen over these last. I would say McNabb. That's the easy one for me. And I will say this too. Like I was too young to really appreciate Randall Cunningham. So like that's just the this disclaimer there. But I'm gonna say McNabb as one and Jalen backing him up. Because McNabb was my intro. I'll share a little. McNabb was really like the first love of the Eagles. So like my first, probably biggest recollection. So for people that don't know, I mean, I'm in Dallas. I'm born and raised in Dallas, and I'm an Eagles fan, a lifelong Eagles fan. And a lot of people ask, you know, like how in the world did that happen? And my family are Cowboys fans, so you can imagine just you know some of the issues that occur there. But you know, I had the card stacked against me, but thankfully I came out all right on the right side of it and being an Eagles fan. But you know, I didn't really follow the NFL from what I can recall until probably like 7 or 8. And so I remember the game in 2000. It was an opener in Dallas. The Cowboys were playing the Eagles. McNabb, B-Dog, Trotter, Deuce, like just the guys, you know. And so they killed them. It was like 41 to 10, 41 to 14, something ridiculous. And so like that was the first memory that I can have. And I was like, that's it. Like I'm an Eagles fan, like seeing their swagger and like just how they took it to him. I'm like, you kidding me? No, I'm going to be an Eagles fan forever. And so then since that time, I've stuck with him. So McNabb was like from day one, the QB that I saw. And so, you know, every fantasy football draft, like McNabb was, I would take him. Like there's no way that I'm going away from that. So yeah, McNabb's got to be number 1.
And for me, I get what you're saying. I'm a little older. So it's like, that's how it happened. I used to only watch college football. Like, you know, I watched Peyton, Brady, all those guys, you know, play at their colleges and whatnot. And the first real Eagles game was, I think it was Eagles versus Cowboys too. It was Randall Cunningham. Remember the Gumby play? Randall got hit back. He got back up. And I thought, oh, look at this quarterback out there. And he threw that touch. I thought, all right, I can mess with that. And then, you know, just seeing their defense back in the day, they were really, you know, body bag defense back in those days, you know what I'm saying, with all the veterans and old school players. So that really got me to become an Eagles fan. That's why I always go Cunningham. You know, before Hurts, I would say, you know, it was McNabb too. But since Hurts 2 and Cunningham, Randall Cunningham number 1, man, for sure. McNabb, I still got love for you, but I didn't like what you did in that Super Bowl. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that's true.
Give me 3 running backs.
Okay, so for running backs, easy one first is Brian Westbrook. That was my first Eagles poster, first, you know, probably anything that I had there. So Brian Westbrook, number 1. 2, I got to go Deuce.
Ooh, I like that.
Deuce. 3. Gosh, who would 3? Probably Shady. I got to go Shady. Got to give Shady some love.
That's good. I like that one. Give me 2 tight ends.
2 tight ends.
Favorite 2.
Let's see. I'm gonna go Ertz 1, and it maybe God. Well, I was gonna say Bubba, but I may say Goddard. 1, 2, Ertz, Goddard.
You can't lose with that.
Tough.
You can't lose with that.
And you really can't.
Seen that last a little longer than what it did. You know, I feel like, you know, how he got him out at the right time. At the same time, it would have been nice if Ertz had another 2 more years with Goddard. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
I like Kels, Selleck. I mean, Selleck.
yeah, yeah.
He was a good cider for us.
Yep.
And back in the day, L.J. Smith. And there's been some good ones, but yeah, those two are good. You know, I think those probably the best two, right? If you had to think offhand. 3 receivers.
3 receivers. Let's see. We're gonna go. So I really, this probably wouldn't talent wise, but I just loved Pinkston. Like for some reason growing up, man, I loved Todd Pinkston. I don't know if I would put him on there. I don't know if I would put him on the 3 though, but
you just said it.
I guess I have to. But I was just gonna say talent wise, you know, I was trying to think of who else, but I gotta say Todd Pinkston, man. I gotta go with him. So,
Someone said Freddie Mitchell one time. I was like, really?
Really? Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we'll go Todd Pinkston. I'm gonna go with D-Jax. I mean, dude, a baller. And then the question, I probably got to either pick AJ or Devontae. I'll say AJ. I'll say AJ.
Hey, that works. That works, man, for sure. I like that one too. So Pinkston, could you imagine seeing that though? AJ, AJ, D Jackson, Pinkston. Pinkston play that slot though. He'll play that slot. We have coverage will be taken with DJ taking at the top off.
Yep.
You got AJ working in the middle. Pinkston will get open. He get some catches in there.
Yeah.
Catches in there. Give me a starting 5 offensive line.
Offensive line, man. Okay. We'll go with Jason Kelce. I'll probably go all over the place, which were the easy ones. But Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson. Let's see if we'll take. I would say Peters, Jason Peters. Who else do I want to go with for those others?
So you got 2 guards.
Yeah.
I guess you can move Jason to guard if you wanted to too. If you want another tackle.
Yeah.
I don't know how you want to do it.
I really like Runyon too. I know I already took 2 tackles, so
use Runyon as your other tackle, then move JP to guard.
Okay. There you go. That works. One more guard. Man.
Brooks. Did you like Brooks?
Yeah, I could go Brooks. That works. Yeah.
He's a pretty good one to add in there. I like that one too. You know, those are some of the good ones, you know. Let's go with a defensive line. We're playing a 4-3 on defense. So that's how we're going to go. So give me your front 4 on defense.
D-line. Okay. We're going to go. Man, there's so many good ones here. This is tough. We will take BG, Javon Curse.
Ooh, the freak.
Man, DT, who do I want to go with defensive tackles here? Gosh, these are so many really good options. I'm going to say Fletch. And I may move him inside. I may reverse this and play like with kind of a 3 defensive ends here. I guess you'd slide him in if you want to, but I got to go with Hugh. I'm going to take him as my 4th. Hugh Douglas.
Yeah, he was a beast.
He was. Yep.
Trent Cole.
Yeah, there's another great. There's too many. I think we got too many good D linemen, so that's hard.
What about 3 linebackers?
Linebackers. Okay. Got to go Jeremiah Trotter.
Yes.
That was the first introduction to linebackers here, so for sure Trotter. Let's see, who else do we want to go with?
Yeah, you guys can help throw names in there if that's what you want to do. You know, I help you throw some names in there. D'Amico Ryans, Nigel Bradham.
Yeah.
You can go with who else been some good one? Was it Sean? It's not Sean Bradley. What was his name? Bradley. Stuart Bradley.
Stuart Bradley, yeah.
Football with us too. D'Amico. Those are some good linebackers.
Yeah. I'd
probably say great linebackers. But.
Yeah, no, not any great. I'd say Trotter, D'Amico, probably the 2 for sure, and then that 3rd one,
Jordan Hicks maybe or something like that.
Yeah, I can say I could go with that. I could go with a Hicks for the 3rd.
Give me 3 corners.
3 corners, okay.
This is a fun one because I think we had a lot of good corners back in the day. If the new age Eagle fan don't know, we used to dominate in the cornerbacks.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah. I'm going to say Lito. Yeah, we'll go Lito Shepherd, Sheldon Brown, and I may go. This is tough. I mean, we got good ones here. I don't know if I want to go with Slay or if I want to take. I was thinking of Sante Samuel, maybe.
Ooh, Samuels was a beast.
I may go with Samuel.
I like that one. I always go Troy Vincent, Bobby Taylor. I love Taylor. He be on the show sometime.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm about to get him back on the show too. And then and Lito Shepherd, man. I love Lito.
Oh yeah,
man.
He's a beast.
Let's go with two safeties.
Two safeties. Okay.
Easy. One of them right off the jump.
Yeah, I better say it for sure. B-Doc. Oh yeah. Dawkins for sure. And then man, I don't know technically if they would both play on the field at the same time because of what they did, but I got to go Malcolm Jenkins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that would be awesome. That'd be awesome right there. Give me your kicker, punter, and special teamer who's going to be returning these kicks.
Okay. Kicker, Akers for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Punter. Gosh, who am I going to go? I may need some help with punter.
Who we just had? Cam. What was his name again? God. Not Cam Akers. Cam Johnson. We just had on our team. He was good. I'm trying to think the other punter name. It was like right before we had a long-time punter that was pretty good too. Before I don't even know that. I know his first name's Cam. I don't even know if Johnson was his last name or Johnston. Cam Johnston. We just got rid of him 2 years ago, right before Sipos. That guy.
Yeah. I can't think of it.
Punter. So we just say Sipos right now.
Okay. That works. Whoever the next punter is.
Yeah. Kickoff returner. Or if you had a receiver that you want to throw in there, or running back you want to throw in there, and you didn't get a chance, you could put him at kickoff returner. But we had a couple of good ones there too.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, kick returner. I'm gonna say. I think I might. I mean, I'd have to add maybe somebody else, but I mean, punt return is easy for me. Like D-Jax has to be the guy. Like the miracle in the Meadowlands that return.
What about Darren Sproles?
Yeah, I could do that for sure. We got to give Sproles something. So yeah, for sure, he could do that.
Johnson. Yeah, that's
there it is. Okay, Cam Johnson. Yeah.
Dirt Johnston. That's his name. Dirt Johnston, and then Cam Johnson. Those are our last two punters. Both of those guys are pretty good punters, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dang. Thank you.
Oh, Savraka. Okay, you know what? That's who it would be. I there you go. Okay, I couldn't think of any punter off the top of my head, but now yes, Savraka. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you. Yep, this is out there. And what about your offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and head coach?
Whew, that's tough. This is like the whole head coach thing to me is like the hardest one and the most unfair because it's like you get a guy like an Andy Reid who's here, incredible. And I'm just going to do the guys that I remember during my time, but Andy Reid and then Doug Peterson, obviously with the Super Bowl, and then Nick Sirianni, who like I love. So man, who do I go with?
None of those three are defensive coordinators, so unless you want to.
I know it. So I got to say, okay, so for a head coach, I got to say Doug. I mean, he got us the Super Bowl. So there's a statue of him right outside the link. So I got to go Dougie P. Offensive coordinator. Who am I going to go for offensive coordinator? I'll go ahead and give you the defensive coordinator. Jim Johnson, that one's easy. Yeah, easy. Offensive coordinator.
If you want to use one of those other two head coaches, you can use my offensive coordinator. If you want to go Andy Reid as your offensive coordinator.
Okay. Yeah.
Or Nick Sirianni as your offensive coordinator, because that's what they do.
That's true. That's a good point. Okay. Yeah. If you're going to give me that option.
He's an offensive coordinator too. So if you want to give it to someone else, you still have him in the coaching scheme.
Okay, that's true. If you're going to give me that option, then I'll take Andy Reid at offensive coordinator because I feel like he's obviously the mastermind in offense. Not that Nick isn't either, but I probably got to go that direction.
I mean, that's a good list. That's a classic list. I loved it. The favorite pick for me was Finkston. I love the Finkston because I really kind of forgot about him for a little bit. And then as soon as you said his name, I was like, yes.
There's something about it, man. I don't know what it was growing up. Like,
little
I
skinny
just
dude,
loved it. Yeah.
Kind of feel, taking hits. I love Pinkston. Definitely a good pick there. Yeah, guys. And guys in the chat, if you guys want to throw in, I see a lot of you guys throwing in your comments, as you're watching this replay, whatever. Go ahead and let us know as it goes on. Put it in the chat in the comments and let us know which players is your all-time Eagles team. Because that's Josh Davis's all-time Eagles team. And it's a really good one. So, hey, Josh, man, thanks for coming on again. Let everybody know your where they can find you at again, and then give me your final thoughts, and we can get out of here, buddy.
Heck yeah. No, I appreciate it. Yeah. On Twitter at JDavis_2. For YouTube, obviously the Philly Special Show, you kind of see it right there. But yeah, doing shows pretty much once every day for the most part, if I can. And so been enjoying it. This has been a blast. Love being able to collab here. So definitely have to do it again. But no, I think, obviously we've got this lull period now, it seems like, coming up to the draft. But it's going to be fascinating, as every single draft is. But I shared it on my show today. I really think out of all drafts, this is going to be the one that shocks us the most, because I think this is going to be Howie not really changing his scheme or mindset necessarily, but I think he's just going to do something that surprises us, because he's looking to stay ahead of the curve, and that may be something a little bit different. Obviously, we're hoping that's a BIJAN Robinson, but we'll see what that will be.
So, baby, I'm telling you, after round one, I'm getting 500 back, and we're going to come out with a BIJAN party over here.
That will be legit. Yes. Say, and apparently Philly's going to, they're going to throw a parade.
But even we needed a receiver. I kind of felt the Devontae pick, but I wanted Waddle. I'm not gonna lie. I told everybody I wanted Waddle, and I still agree with that. I wanted Waddle, because I just love watching Waddle play. He's a little bit more explosive, but Devontae's a sure thing. You know what I'm saying? He's Slim Reaper for a reason. He catches everything, and he broke all of Alabama records. So you can't say Waddle's better, but coming out, I did like Waddle. Waddle's definitely been a beast in this league since he's been out. Even with a guy like, Tyreek Hill over there, you're still putting up, over 1,100 yards and all, touchdowns. Yeah. So you're still a beast, and both of them are beasts. Salute to both of them. But yeah, that was a kind of a pick. I knew we were going to go receiver, but I didn't know which Alabama guy we were going to get. I wanted Waddle, but I was happy with Devontae too as well. But I just feel like it's like, for me, I feel like if you really are the best GM in the league, you'll make the pick. You won't listen to no outsiders. Yeah. You don't want to listen to any of your normal. You won't do anything normal about it, because it ain't a normal thing for you to do, for the Eagles to do, for that matter.
Yeah.
And you're going to go outside the box, and you're going to use this pick, for what it is, a very rare situation, and go get your very rare running back. And
for sure.
And lock them up for 5 years,
It's the first team, I think, is the first team since the 06 or 07 Patriots to have a top 10 pick coming off of the Super Bowl. So yeah, it's not normal, and you got to capitalize on it. You got to run it back.
You can even package up something to move up in 30, so you can get your 16 or wherever we normally draft, 19, 16 in that area. You can even push that 30th pick to get your little normal. You want to feel normal and go get you a nice offensive lineman or defensive lineman around the 14, 15 range. You got enough.
There you go.
12 draft picks next year. You can dish off some of those.
Yeah, you got plenty to work with.
Picks, push that 30 pick up. That's really what I want. BIJAN, push the 30 pick up and get the best player available, wherever you can get it within, hopefully between 13 and 19, if you can push yourself back in that situation. And we can just end that first night on fire. And, I can start talking my Super Bowl a little bit more than I am, because I have been missing from mixing action. I haven't get into mixed podcasting. That's normal, and I'm trying to get back on it right now. So that would be a great way to start with the BIJAN party.
Yes, it would. Sign me up for that.
So you guys hit that like. Thanks again for joining us, man. Subscribe. Subscribe, my boy. The Philly Special Show. Tell me about the name. That was really smart of you, my guy. The Philly Special, something that's going to be talked about forever. The play that's talked about forever.
Yeah,
popped it in there as the name.
Genius. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, it was honestly just kind of, bouncing an idea off of with my wife, because I was like, all right, I got to come up with, what am I going to call it? Right. And so just started thinking, it's like a lot of times for news, people make it, the special report with so-and-so. And I was like, well, heck, we got the Philly Special. That's the place. Let's just call it the Philly Special. So I don't know, kind of came organically and worked out, but I appreciate it.
Keep doing your thing, man. You're blowing up, man. And you're gonna be one of the goats too, you know, when it's all said and done. You know, I
I
love our
appreciate it.
Eagles community. I think we got a lot of great content creators out there. And you know, we all put out our own flavor, you know. And I just think it's gonna be a very special season. So everybody look on board. Make sure to subscribe, hit notification bells on both channels, you know, and we'll see you guys next time. This is Bird Game 31. Like I always say at the end of my shows, fly, Eagles, fly. Till next time, we out. Peace.